Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Blackblade and welcome back to vlog number 3 of our Marauder Ice Crash build. Now I did make a huge modification to the build simply because we're not going to be using the Atziri's Disfavour. Rather, we are going to be using the Marohi Erqi, which I was able to 5 link at about only below 50 link orbs. I was actually pretty excited that I was able to 5 link this very easily, and yeah, so that's why we're going to be using the mace route for this build. Alright, so let's start with the build. We did start to get life and armor nodes over here from the Marauder, of course, and then we ended with Warriors of Blood, and then we went up to get the Heart of the Warrior for some life, and then of course Born to Fight, and then we went down over to the Duelist skill tree to get the Master of Arena, and then some life, bravery, and then the Art of the Gladiator, and then we went down over here to get the Destroyer. We went over to the right side to get one jewel socket. This time I decided to add in a 13% increased physical damage weapon with two-handed weapons, and 12% fire resistance and 12% melee damage. And then we went down over here to get Golem's Blood. Finally, we've gotten the Iron Reflexes, and then we went to the left side to get the Executioner and of course the Wrecking Ball, since it's a two-handed weapon build. Then we went over to the left side over here to get some more melee damage and another jewel socket right here with an increased physical damage of two-handed weapon, a 5% reduced mana cost for the skills, and we get that sweet 12% area damage. And then we went up over here to get some mace damage, and finally life leech for the mace with an increased physical damage with maces at 18% and a 6% increased attack speed with maces. So this is going to be an awesome skill set of nodes to get if you're looking for some life leech and you don't have it in your gear. And then of course we went up over here to get Born to Fight, Butchery, and then we went to the left side to get the Barbarism, and then we went over to the left side over here to finally get Skull Cracking and the Bone Breaker, since again this is a mace build. And then we've gotten the Resolute Technique. Of course, we've gotten the some more armor nodes over here, and finally ending with a jewel socket with an 8% increased attack speed with maces, 10% increased melee damage, and 12 fire and lightning resistances. And then we went to the right side over here to get some armor, and then finally taking the Unyielding for the 20% reduced extra damage from critical strikes, and we get that sweet 30% increased armor. And then we went to the right side over here to get some more life and mana reduction cost, ending with Unrelenting. And then finally we went to the right side over here to get the blood instrument for the 28% increased damage with maces, and so on and so forth, with some more physical damage and attack speed with maces right here, ending with Sanctity. And then we went up over here to get Discipline, and then Retribution, and then finally getting the Amplify, and then finally getting the Elementalist. And then over here we went up to get the Devotion for some life, and finally ending everything with Celestial Punishment and of course Celestial Judgment. Now since we are at level 89, you may want to push this to about 90 or 90 plus. By the way, I killed all of the bandits, so just for the skill point. So yeah, you may want to choose on getting Oak if you need more life, or whatever stat that you need that you don't have in your gear. So yeah, 89. So you could probably push this to 90, 91. So you could, or even 92 if you have more points. You could probably get some more jeweled socket right there. There's some more jeweled socket right here. Or if you want some increased stamina, some increased armor, and then it's increased life. And I guess that's about it. Or if you want to get or you want to include Fortify in your links to have that 100% Fortify uptime, you may want to get with your the Rampart here, so that you get damage while you have the Fortify effect. Alright then, so the weapon that we are going to be using is the Marohi Erqi, however you read this shit. Yeah, for our primary weapon. And for our rings, we are going to be using a 2-stone ring with life and then resistances. For our gloves, we are going to be using a life and then resist glove. As much as possible, if you can, get some increased attack speed over there. Simply because the Marohi has a 10% reduced attack speed. So you may want to make up, make up for that one by getting some attack speeds, on your gear, specifically on your gloves. Then of course for your belt, any belt will do just as long as it has life and then resistances. I have a rustic stash over here. For boots, life and then resistances, huge rolls of resistances. And then for other ring, we are going to be using again a 2-stone ring, this time with a mana leech, because I was actually struggling with some mana management. So mana leech is really important for this build. If you can get it in your gem, get it in your gem. If not, you can get it in one of your rings. For armor, of course, we are going to be using the Carcass Jack to further increase the AoE of the Ice Crash. As you can see, the AoE of my Ice Crash is actually pretty huge, and it's pretty fun to play. Specifically, if you have a lot of mobs and everybody gets hit almost in all of the screen, because it's really huge. If this were a 6-link, and I'd probably definitely add an AoE on this one, so that because it's just much more fun to hit so many monsters with a huge one-shot AoE. It's going to be really fun. And of course, for our amulet, I'm using an Onyx amulet. Please, ignore the global critical strike chance, because this is kind of like my international amulet, because it maxes out everything. Not maxes out, but it allows me to get all of the requirements much more easier because of the 15% attributes. And what I mean is plus 15 to attributes, and then we get a plus 27 to all of our attributes, which would allow me not to use an extra 30 dexterity or an extra 30 intelligence, because sometimes we do that if we're lacking gear. So yeah, that's the only reason why I use this in almost all of my gear. And then of course, Carcass Jack, and we have Devotus Devotion just to get that sweet 16% increased attack speed. Alright, so what's connected to our Ice Crash is faster attacks, added fire damage, weapon elemental damage, and melee physical damage. Now if you want, you can use the hypothermia. As you can see with the faster attacks, the Marohi still the skills still attacks pretty fast, even though it's the weapon is really slow. But without the faster attacks, it's still pretty okay. It's still pretty okay. So you may want to play around with either faster attacks or hypothermia. But for me, I really like the faster attacks, because I'm an attack speed junkie, if you guys didn't know. For other skill gems, we're going to be using Blood Rage with CWDT, Warlord's Mark, and Enduring Cry. Defensively, we are going to be using CWDT. Again, this is pretty typical. Increased Duration, Molten Shell, and Immortal Call. For auras, we are going to be using Hatred with Arctic Armor. And of course, we have Blind Dare attached to our Summon Flame Golem, and of course, Minion Life, so that the Flame Golem doesn't die that often. Finally, we have Increased Duration attached to Leap Slam, and then Fortify, and then we have faster attacks. I really wanted to roll this one into all red, so that I could just put the Enduring Cry there instead, so that we get a increased duration for our Enduring Cry. But I found it really difficult. I spent around 50 plus when it comes to chromatics here, so it's pretty difficult to get it at flat all red, or I'm not just lucky. Alrighty then, when it comes to our damage is at 49k. As you can see, it's far lower than my Atziri build. In the Atziri Disfavour, I think my damage was 89k or 85k. It was huge. It's a huge difference from this one, but that's okay. That bumps up to around 52 when we get our frenzy charges up. Defensively, our armor is at 8.4k with an estimated physical damage reduction of 45%. With the Arctic armor, of course, that is at about 58% estimated physical damage reduction. We have a pretty awesome life regeneration per second at 263, and then we have all of our resistances capped. Our fire resistance is at 76%. Our chaos resistance is at 21%, and we have a stun recovery modifier at 29%. Damage reduction from crits at 20%, and we have a movement speed modifier of 10%. So our life is at 4.8k, which is awesome. And the map that we are going to do is a map tier 11 or a level 78 map, which is a Springs map. As you can see, there's only a magic item, 22 magic monsters mod there just for leveling purposes. Alrighty then, so let's get into doing the map. Yeah. Alrighty then, so here is the map. Oh, I love this, what do you call this? I love this power up. Yeah. So yeah, damage wise, it's still pretty okay, but I can't really compare it to the overall damage of my Atziri, because the Atziri is really powerful, and it's really OP. Yeah, I know that. You guys, some of you have been saying that the Atziri is, you know, pretty OP, and yeah, I should use pretty much a lower tiered or a budgeted weapon. So I'm not exactly sure how cheap this is, because I only got the Marohi at on a drop. So I'm not exactly sure what the price range of the Marohi is nowadays. So yeah, I don't know if it's expensive or it's fairly cheap. But I was pretty lucky to be able to 5-link it at only like below 50 or link orbs, or yeah, orb of links, or whatever you call it. I kind of forget, sorry. Ideally, I was shooting for a 5 socket when I was socketing it. When I was trying to socket it, but when you know, I landed a 5 socket, I said to myself, I actually landed 5 socket twice, and I said to myself, all right, this is enough. You know, I'm just going to stick with this, and you know, just 5-link it. And I was able to 5-link it, and you know, it was still pretty lucky. But what they are saying is actually you can 5-link a 6-socket weapon easily than 5-linking a 6-socket weapon. Wait a minute. You can easily 5-link a 5-socket weapon than 5-linking a 6-socket weapon. So yeah, there's that sort of odds that I read. Bog map, yeah, gotta get that bog map. Alrighty then, so I'm gonna go back and forth with Diablo 3 and this one, and Path of Exile, because you know, I enjoy both games. I enjoy both worlds. Although I have to admit, I'm slightly considering Diablo 3 as, you know, kind of like a casual game now. But you can play it as a hardcore if you want to. I mean, there's no real harm with it. So yeah, damage wise, it's now at 59k, I should say. When we have our what do you call this? When we have our frenzy charges on. Alrighty then, stop it. I need to finish the game. Okay, so doing fine, doing great. Yeah, I'm probably going to update the Wild Strike build next, because everybody loves Wild Strike. It's probably, well, it's not one of the most used weapons in the game, but I mean skill gems in the game. But it's one of the popular what do you call this, builds that I have. Oops. Alright then, so where is the damn boss? Alright, so this is the boss right here. I hope I don't die. Yeah, I've already fought this boss for like, I don't know, a couple of times now. Not really that much. Oh, Storm Bearers. Oh, good thing I saw it. Those guys are assholes. Storm Bearers and Flame Bearers. I hate those. Because sometimes I just can't see them. Or sometimes I don't read the description, which is the monster's description, which is actually pretty stupid. But then when you play the game like over and over again, and you know, you kind of sometimes don't read it for one reason or another. Alright, here's the boss. Boy, I'm taking so much time here. Come on, die already, bitch! I wonder how fast I could kill this with the Atziri weapon. It's taking me real long. Alright, there you go. So she's dead. And let's look for some more monsters over here. Make sure that everything is clear. Alright then, so I guess that's about it for this episode, guys. Again, let me know what you guys think about the build in the comment section down below. And thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoy the content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next part of my video. Have a good one. Alright, where is she? There she is. Come on, Mobile, die! Oh, no, she's still alive. Oh, I thought that she's already dead. Alright, there you go.